Norma, Jure, and Louise, and 3 brothers, Stoschel, Monterville, and Bailey.
The Rotary Central Easter Hunt and Story Time is Saturday, April 8th. Children are about to have a marvelous Easter experience. The Rotary Central Easter Hunt and Story Time at the Rotary Schoolhouse, the Queen Elizabeth II Botanical Park in Frank Sound. 11 a.m. through 12:30 p.m. This exciting Easter event includes Eric the Magician, sing along with Miss Alea, face painting by Art for You Limited, refreshments, arts and crafts, prizes, goodie bags, lip smacking pizza, compliments of Domino's Pizza. This is a free Rotary event for children 10 years and under who must be accompanied by adults. Yes, Saturday, April 8th at the Botanical Park. Easter fun comes alive. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon, and if I was in West Bay, I'd say, buenas tardes, mi amigas, but I won't do that today. Welcome. It's truly a terrific, thankful day as we invite you to be a part of the discussion with our friends from the YMCA. We want you to learn, listen, love, and laugh. Be a part of what we have to share. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for being a part of it, and thank you so much for this truly privileged and blessed opportunity to be able to serve and through this forum to facilitate discussion and to invite the public to be a part of all the positive things and to remind us to whom much is given, much is required. So as we talk to our friends from the YMCA, I'm honored to see that we have such a strong partnership that brings the community together in a way that is positive and nurturing. So, Ms. Paula, to you, good afternoon.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us.
Mr. Marlon as well. And as I'd asked just prior to coming on here, would you be so kind, each of you, first Ms. Paula, to a brief intro to our listeners? Because I think sometimes hearing the voice of somebody else, as eloquent as I may be, as, resounding as my voice may be, as encouraging, sometimes it's better to hear somebody else. So, Ms. Paula, to you, such a beautiful voice.
Thank you. Well, let me try. Thanks for having us, and good afternoon to your beautiful audience. This is Paula Robinson. I have lived on island for 17 years and just very proudly joined the Y family earlier in 2023. Just over 2 months now, and very excited to be able to develop programming for youth development. I am very pleased that this honorable non-for-profit organization has such an important cause, and we have a very committed team who is excited to deliver on a daily basis, and I'm happy to be joined here with Mr. Marlon.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Marlon, fix that. All right.
Happy to be here. I am Marlon Richards. I've been with the YMCA from 2018. And again, let me just say thank you for having us. And good day, wonderful Cayman or Verdant Isle. And look forward to having a chat with you some more about our program. So I coordinate the high school programs, both high schools, government high schools, being Clifton Hunter and John Gray High Schools.
I'm glad you just shared, Verdant Isle, and I always believe that the most beautiful song in any nation is its national anthem, national song.
Of course.
I believe that. I'll tie this into what I'm thinking, right? That's why I love football.
Right.
Because when football is played, especially the World Cup, you get a chance to hear the national songs of both teams, right?
Oh, yes.
Now, for me, the most beautiful song in the world, and I say this with all confidence, is our own national song.
Hands down.
The way it's penned, and to listen to it.
Yes.
Even me trying to sing it don't sound too bad. At least that's my words. Because the song is so beautiful, even me can't mess it up. But it speaks to what our people are. And as we talk about the why, the programming, not just the summer and the school holidays, but after school, during the school year, the notion that we provide an environment for our children to fellowship.
Yes.
To build a sense of camaraderie, but also to learn and develop.
Oh, yes.
If I could, before we kind of get into it, Mr. Marlon, back to you. I remember, you might not, when you joined the Y.
Yes.
Right? It was, Miss Paula, I'll tell you how it was. Dropping some children in there, and there is this fellow that looked like a student, but there was something different. Well, he's wearing a different color shirt.
Right.
And he was so much bigger. And I looked and someone said, that's a new guy. And then I said, okay, never met. Yes. And it was you, right? And over time. So why, why the Y for you, Mr. Marlon?
So to give you a little background, I grew up in Jamaica. I attended high school there, my alma mater, Kingston College. Of course, I have to mention that.
No, really?
And I've been involved with youth. I was a cadet, still a cadet here. And I immediately when I left high school, I began teaching at that institution, my alma mater. So I taught for 20 plus years. It was probably only natural that when I got here, that I had to be among the kids because, you see one child succeed, you feel some level of success yourself. So the opportunity came immediately, and I grabbed it with both arms, and I'm here.
Too much is given, much is required.
Yes.
I said at outset, what you just said the same thing, all right?
Yes.
Yet we fail often as parents, as community-minded people, even though we think we're giving and doing, are we, right? So I leave it to you, not to impose. I know you say you started in 18.
Yes.
You had a stint here prior to that, and you can talk about it. But it's the idea of not just securing employment, it's about making a contribution.
Yes.
It's about, irrespective of who we are, where we're from initially and ancestrally, it's about where we are now.
Exactly.
Right? And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm fairly confident that the three of us, as different as we are, we're more alike.
More alike.
And we've heard it from our parents, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles, either the same way or a little bit differently. Make hay while the sun shines.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And it wasn't about making a lot of money. It was about making something positive and productive.
Yes.
Right? So, Ms. Paula, with that, the Y is just about 10 years. I remember the formative meetings prior. I remember Pastor Randy being sort of a stalwart and a champion, and then all of the other people around doing different things for different reasons. But the end objective was hopefully something that would nurture, that would be positive, that would give the children something, and maybe through the differences would unite us.
Yes.
So give us a little bit of sort of an overview of why is an NPO.
Yeah, so the very first highlight I would love to share is that more and more we cater to the youth. I love calling everyone a kid or a child, but like Marlon is catering to high schools, right? The teens, the young adults. So it's first the skill set, the level of skills that our team members actually host personally and professionally that allow us to service our community via our programs. So when you think of, 11 years young, but YMCA is an organization worldwide known for the servicing that we do in communities. And it's such a big need in our community. So it's important that we deliver programs that are relevant, programs that are developing other sets of skills in the youth that are not just perhaps the academics, because not every child, not every young person thrives in academics. So if it's arts or if it's technology or if it's sports, we're there for them.
Exactly.
And the idea is to continuously grow the delivery as we evolve as a community, as we evolve as an organization.
And the thing is that we're seeing a changing world, Mr. Marlon, without question. For whatever the reason, whatever it is that we may conclude based on our observation or in-depth analysis or preconceived notions, whatever the reason is. But our youth perhaps learn what we teach them directly and sometimes just by action without even realizing it.
Without a doubt.
And we see, I won't speak to any other part of the world except in Cayman, that for a long time there was this call that after school, whatever time that finished, to the parents are able to get to the student, their children, there were things happening, and sometimes we wish it was more positive. And words like at risk, words like latchkey child, and all sorts of labels were assigned. I don't like labels. I don't. But maybe we're not doing enough. Maybe we weren't doing anything. But we are now with an after-school program. Give us a little preview of how effective do you think it is? What do we offer? What are we doing? Let's chat with that a little bit.
So and if I should refer to my little jottings here.
Hey, please.
The YMCA's after-school program seek to enrich the overall development of our youngsters, which I think is totally critical. We provide, and I'm happy to say, a safe space for youngsters. That's the time you refer to, from 3 o'clock until 5, where we bus them home. That's a high school in particular. And to see the changes in some of these youngsters, it is magnificent.
Yes.
We have what we call leaders in training.
The CITs,
Yes. So some of these youngsters, same youngsters in high school, who exhibit that extra little push to achieve a little bit more, we have them organized in a club in particular where they can become young leaders and set that example for the other students. So it is exciting. We provide that space for them, and they are allowed to be themselves and learn at the same time. And so two key things: it's a safe space, they're learning, and at the same time they're having fun, which I think is totally critical.
Indeed. When we come back from our break, let's talk more about that. And there's a couple of things I may want to specifically ask, because too often we ignore the obvious.
Yes.
A friend of mine, he don't know if it was the JDF training or otherwise, he said, we developed the ostrich syndrome.
Yes.
We've heard the politicians talk about it. We hear parents, But at the end of the day, what are we doing?
Yes.
Accountability, responsibility, and the like. And let's see where this conversation goes.
Certainly.
And we'll see what the ask may be. All right. Join us after the break. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The MedLab team would like to wish the community a very happy Easter and remind you to be safe while camping.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a foot-long from Subway.
If it's time for new appliances, hop on into the LG Appliance Easter Sale, now on at Brand Source Home Gallery. Save 15% off on LG appliances. Buy a 4-piece kitchen and you'll get a further 5% off. Yes, if you have older appliances that have seen better days, don't wait. Take advantage now of the LG Appliance Easter Sale. Hurry in. Sale ends Saturday, April 15th. Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Phone 623-5000.
Are you tired of waiting in long lines at the pharmacy just to fill a prescription?
If what, child, let me tell you.
Well, now you can save time and money with ValueMed's online prescription service. Visit ValueMed's new website, valrx.com, and click the Refill Subscriptions button. Fill in your information and choose your preferred pickup location. Or email your prescription refills for ValueMed Walkers Road at rx-wr@valrx.com, and for ValueMed in Bordentown, email rx-bt at valrx.com. Say goodbye to the hassle of waiting in lines and hello to the convenience of online prescriptions with ValueMed Pharmacy. Visit valrx.com to place your orders today.
Kirk Freeport's Easter at Bayshore family event is back. This Easter Saturday, April 8th, hop down to the Bayshore Mall in Georgetown from 4 to 6 p.m. for sweet treats including popcorn, snow cones, and cotton candy. Don't miss the Easter bunnies, and there's even a kid scavenger hunt with chocolate prizes, plus face painting and musical entertainment. The event is free, and there's free parking behind the mall for parents too. Easter at Bayshore is back. Visit KirkFreeport.com for more information. Happy Easter from everyone at Kirk Freeport.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks very much for joining us, and thanks for sharing in the energy, the positivity, that wonderful spirit of giving and thanksgiving, of, being nurturing and caring and concern. Ms. Paula, together with her colleague, Mr. Marlon from the YMCA. As we're going into the break, we're talking about what we are able to do, either through our employment or through our volunteering, either through our partnership with our time or our treasure. How do we sow positively into the lives of our young people? And we were asking as we went into the break, to expand more on sort of the after school program, in particular, this notion that our children, while their parents are at work, otherwise, hopefully positively engaged for the most part, and ensure that the parent's mind is at ease because the child is in good care, the child is being nurtured and developed because the environment is conducive. Now, I know, sadly, some hear me say this and go, boy, he's naive. That's probably true. But we got to be positive. We got to have a sense of faith in believing that if we do good, good follows good. But, Ms. Paula, you referenced it during the break that we're living in a changing world in terms of the adoption of technology, the use of it, not just in business, but even amongst our young. And to what extent are they being prepared? I know that the Y has, as part of its after-school program, STEM program. They're also focusing on, Marlon, the two of you share with us one. So.
Certainly. So we speak of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. We recognize every end of school year, that's when we reassess our programs. And we look at what did we offer. What are we offering, and what can we offer to the youngsters? The important thing is that we engage the youngsters too. What would you like to do? And with the increase in the use of technology, we thought it would be good to introduce a STEM program. So it's young, we just started the school year. And we have youngsters who are engaged, they're excited about the program. Again, it is just that 2 hours that they have to engage with their colleagues or their classmates as as it might be, and just to have fun building, growing, partnering, and when they at the end of the day see what they have created, that's the exciting part for the youngsters. So I think the STEM program, and what is good about it is that technology, yes, it can be used for bad things, because we get into the whole issue of digital sharing of information and the cyber crime and all of that. They can use the technology in the correct way and enhance their development. We want to leave the youngsters, so we go hand in hand with the teachers when they're in year 7 up to year 11. We want them to have something that they can look back at and say, I've earned a skill. This is what I can do with this. So it's not up to the schools alone, but the WISE there, the extended after school program, to offer that for the youngsters. And I think our varied programs, or the STEM program, it allows these youngsters to sort of help them to guide and see their options as to what they have, and they can break that out into other areas as they so desire.
But we see that teaching and learning is beyond the classroom.
It is.
It's beyond that defined school day that we think starts at 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, finishes at 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, whatever it is that. And we talk about the partnership of the home, the school, and the community.
The community, yes.
But, Ms. Paula, it costs something. It must cost us in terms of our time and commitment and bringing our talents. But it also, nothing's for free.
Right.
At least I haven't found it yet.
Yes. And especially in technology, when you see the skill that the youth are developing, you want to make sure that we have available kits for them that they can use to create, to, like Marlon said, at the end of the day, realize what they were able to put together and be excited about. They were able to do this as a team, or if they had to do it individually. So for us, it's important that even though the Y definitely provides resources so that the school team and our staff is successful for the youth, we welcome the support from the community, especially donors and any businesses who are in the I would say technology industry, that they're really into growing the generations of the next Caymanian students to be the ones that are taking these careers of the future, because we want to equip the students from today so that they're ready now for the careers of the future.
And this is the interesting thing. I'm glad you referenced that, because sometimes even, and I've heard teachers share this because they have that level of concern and insight, and parents, that the child today who is embracing technology and is comfortable with it, just like we can bring people here to work remotely, as we call it. They, people who live here, who are from here, who are grounded here, can also be working remotely in the sense that they're based here, but they're sort of colleagues and their clientele is somewhere else, right? And yet, for some reason, as one teacher said to me just earlier, we allow that paradigm to work for the person coming here and working remotely, but not the person who's based here ordinarily. And I thought, wow, we seem to make that so easily accommodating for others. But if we don't have the STEM programs in after-school program, if we don't have the resources, the kits that you share, so at least say to the child, hey, did you know about this? But what is it going to take for us, Ms. Paula, to bring that level of not just awareness, but engagement?
Yes, engagement to us represents acting upon it. We cannot be blind to what we need to provide the youth. And so if as a community we can do this collectively, we are welcoming of the support, the donation of resources, opportunities for scholarships in future for these students, of course, but most important, when we are able to provide resources at a high level that can cater to an age bracket, and also they can individually work on, rather than, this is for just one group of 10 people, when you can do kits for 2, 3 maximum, so they can develop their skill set a bit more personalized, I guess. We have to craft this for this.
Sorry, go ahead. I'll ask you, but you go ahead and say, Mr. Mola.
I was just to build on that, and just to paint a scenario. And so we have external partners. We have also teachers, staff members who are club leaders in the high school program. And in particular, speaking about the STEM program, these are individuals who give up their time, their energy. You're talking about being at school from maybe as early as 6 a.m.
Right.
And leaving at 5:30 in the evening. Yeah. And they're dedicated, they're multi-skilled, and when they show that level of dedication, the youngsters too will be there every evening once the club is there. And I just want to, if I could, just to say a big thank you to Miss Monique Bramwell and Miss Nikisha Lynch at Clifton Hunter. They're the ones who lead the STEM program, and Mrs. Jones Drummond at John Gray High School. They're dedicated. And the limited, I would say, because the kids are very expensive, the limited resources that they have and to work with the kids, it's amazing to see what they achieve. The coding, we talk about things like the coding language, we talk about Python, all of that. Yeah. They're fully
even the Raspberry
with
Pi.
these things, yes. And they do get the job done, and it's excellent. I just wanted to highlight that.
Well, thank you, because that sort of almost the answers part of the question I was going to ask you. Yes. So we're on the same page. Given the community that we serve, the community in which we live, we're seeing the diversity of cultures. We're seeing the blending of people. Mr. Martin, specifically to you, not just with the program that you're running as the coordinator for the after school program, but also your previous experience and the like.
Yes.
And seeing the Cayman context. Any thoughts, concerns, misgivings that you may have relative to the integration of not just the students, but the programming? Are we at risk of having those little silos in the divided communities? Or are we like a football team where, you know what, once you love the game and can play somewhat, no matter where you're from, what language you speak, we enjoy the sport? Where's your perspective?
Yeah, I think, and I like the football analogy, because at the end of the day, it's to get the ball in the back of the net.
Or stop it from going in.
Stop it from going in. So it's either you have a very good forward or you have a very good defense.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, it is teamwork, how we come together, irrespective of the different, whether it is socioeconomic background, whether it is different cultures, whatever it is, one objective.
Yeah.
And what we do now will affect what happens in 10, 15, 25 years.
Economic, political, and social stability.
Yes, definitely. And listen, these are the youngsters that we are looking at, who we are looking at our next premier. We're looking at possibly our next governor.
Have I picked it now? Let's go.
We are looking at, you don't know.
Exactly.
It's next 10 years, I taught that kid. That kid used to be in after school. The premier was in after school.
Yeah.
That sort of approach that we want to take. And so if we can lay that foundation and have that sort of mindset to go forward, I think we will be in even a greater place than there.
Can I press
just
you?
Quickly, just quickly, sir. Sometimes some children might feel a little bit marginalized. In after school, we try to have everybody in that same space and mindset to socialize, to integrate, to grow. What we can pass on to each and every one. It is critical for our youngsters.
Yeah.
And that is critical for us too. Yes. So everyone is in the group, and we work together to get everyone at that level. So that's where we are at this period.
I want to press you, not to be any other than the most respectful, but because I know you from a distance. I know your insight and your eloquence and the like.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we don't want to hear the voice.
Yes.
Because it speaks the truth.
Yes.
And the truth is may set you free, but it's also can be cutting, right?
Of course.
And in the Cayman context, just like the football match,
right.
I like football. I like the analogy because my children will tell you it's either two examples, the economics of football. Right. They all win the same at times.
Yes.
But in the Cayman context, are we really serving our community? Are we integrating? Or are we, in some sense, dividing those silos, consciously or unconsciously? And we look at the football, the best players, if they don't gel,
it's not going to work.
They're not going to work. I mean, how many players in McDonald's have you seen on the team and go, they lost to that team?
Yes.
Yeah, because, right, they're not working together. That cohesion in our community, is it there?
I think it is. And it is sometimes again, use another football terminology, getting out of the stands. Walk on the field. Go on the field. And I refer to that to see what's happening. We try to send the message out, whether it's via picture, whether it's via social media, as to what we do in the after-school program. And I think you will get a good picture, a good feeling as to what happens. So I think that's where the integration starts. That's where the leveling of the playing field starts. That's where the rest of the society now needs to, who have the influence to get out the stands and go down and see what's happening with the players on the pitch.
Well, I'm going to publicly ask you to hold me accountable for me.
Yes.
Endeavor to hold
definitely.
you. Definitely hold you. Right?
Definitely. I take that.
Yeah. And as much as we need to get out of the stands, my honest belief that those of us who are in the stands, we need to cheer fervently. Right?
Yes,
we need to be very, very, very much committed to our team.
To our team.
Our team
to
came
our
on, right?
To our team.
So when we come back from our break, I know we got a few minutes left for this discussion.
Sure.
But tell us about some of the other things that the Y is involved in.
Certainly.
I remember the DG5K challenge, and there was a thing that they sponsored, and now there's just one thing, and I saw the Honorable DG get up and try to pull himself up, and that was a valiant effort. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
I would love to.
Sure.
I think Mr. Marlon is going to help me. He's going to pull the rope. I can hold on tight.
Oh, yes, ballet. Yeah, we do some ballet right the field here. So
all right, let's talk about that when we come back, all right? Stay tuned.
Spring is in the air and Easter is just around the corner. So too is Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village. They're stocked with Easter gifts and treats and new spring apparel. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Get all of your Easter purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call them 946-3336. Parents, Savannah Pharmacy invites the neighborhood children to visit the store on Saturday, April 8th before 12 p.m. to pick up their own Easter goodie bags.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The MedLab team would like to wish the community a very happy Easter and remind you to be safe while camping.
It's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's 2-for-1 Taco Tuesdays, and it's happening all day long at Tucker Restaurant and Bar in East End and West Bay. Who doesn't love tacos, especially when they're 2-for-1? Get your favorites: peanut chicken, blackened fish, pulled pork, vegetarian, coconut shrimp, and so much more. Enjoy 2-for-1 tacos and 2-for-1 margaritas every Tuesday at Tucker Restaurant and Bar. All day long, East End and West Bay.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thank you. I'm hoping that you are as inspired, as encouraged, and as enthusiastic by the discussion as I am. Mr. Marlon and Ms. Paula, thank you very much. As we speak to the why, I'm hoping that not only the why in terms of the why and the YMCA, but the why and the why not, and the when, and the what.
And the what, yes.
And hopefully in there, the how.
Yes.
Because as much as we say faith without works is dead, we better take it on board. So I was asking, we've got some good things happening. After school program, I think, is a phenomenal, continuing sort of engagement. But what else is going on, Miss Paula?
Yes, well, it's Easter, and we have so many bunnies hopping at Field of Dreams. We are hosting Easter Camp, which is always one of the most exciting programs at the Y. The same location where we have the tower, the Alpine Tower, which brings you the best views of Grand Cayman, 53 feet up. We're very excited to relaunch the Ropes Challenge course. Yeah. That's, as I said, at the Field of Dreams, and we are looking forward to welcoming from, people who are experienced climbers, people who are beginners, families, corporations to take their social to the highest levels. So we're very looking forward to that coming up for us. But very, very important to also highlight that with the skill set that our staff has, one of the things that we're also going to continue to do is the group CPR first aid training. Yeah. So we have that opportunity via one of our staff members who is certified to do these trainings, and she's hosting corporations in smaller groups at our Field of Dreams. That's another of our opportunities at the Y.
What's the cost for that, if I may ask? Because I think many of us don't appreciate that even if it's free, there's still some cost. But even we pay for it, it's heavily subsidized relative to what it could cost.
Yes.
So if we wanted to do it...
We have a diverse lineup of opportunities in that sense, because if it's group or individual. So what we're trying to also is tailor to the company's needs, especially if they need more than 10 people or such. So I would always say info at ymcacayman.ky so that we can get them all the details.
And thank you. And hearing your answer, what I'm also hearing is people say, listen, don't let, whether it's $50 or $500, it's not $500, but don't let that amount of money deter you. I know that people find every excuse sometimes, and it is financially challenging.
Yes.
But a CPR training, even if you're not current, it can come back to you. It can literally save the life of somebody.
It's vital.
It gives you a sense of confidence.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And a presence of mind.
Yes.
And I'm glad that that's available.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for that.
I've been always hearing this saying that is, you must be present. But you will never know when you need to be actually present when there's an emergency.
Oh, yes.
And if you're the one that is being trained, that level of confidence that you were talking about is also a sense of pride.
Yeah.
So as we grow the youth in their skill sets, in the sense of belonging and sense of place, sense of pride, we do that via our other programs.
I mean, we live on an island, so water safety would be, you think, not even second nature. This could be part and parcel.
Sure. Yes.
But when we think of having that level of, life skill, first aid, what do you do with someone if they're out? Do you move them? Do you turn them on the side? How do you call for help? Many of us are challenged at times because this thing is happening to somebody, and we are, in our minds, we think we're
yes.
Until it happens, right?
Yes.
So,
to your point about the dollar figure, just to remind the community, we do financial aid for a lot of the programs. There is no barrier for children to be signed up in our programming, either at the baseball or camp. So that's one of the reasons why we continuously fundraise, so that we can provide the financial aid for families in need.
All right. Well, it's interesting, no matter the socioeconomic debate or even the socio-political sort of conversation, but fundraising takes many forms, and in Cayman, raffles, whether it's a school or church or a community group, we can get into the discussion, but if the benefit sometimes is there, if it's done in a very public, accountable, forthright way, then we see the benefit. We know the Y has an interesting fundraising raffle. If I can call it that, coming up.
We're excited. We have revamped the annual Little League raffle. So what would you say if I tell you could win 100,000 Cayman dollars?
CI, not US.
Yeah, CI.
So you get 10% more.
Yeah, you add that up. And actually, whoever sells the winning ticket could win 2,500 CI.
Wow.
So this is a way for us to really help also Cayman Islands Little League with this annual tradition, which is bringing community together to support our field. But much, much nicer gifts these days when you're looking at the cash surprise, I call it. So $100 ticket for $100,000. It's a very welcoming opportunity for you to get together with your friends, 4 of you, 25 each. And then if you win the $100,000, just split that in 4.
Yeah, or you can donate it to me. I'm just kidding.
Yes, definitely.
But I like your idea. Many of us are charitable. We want to give. And so 4 people say, listen, let's each chip in, whether equally or someone says, you know what, I'll put in, the lion's share and you guys put in the rest. Whatever the reason is, right? it's an easy denomination to divide.
It is. And it also brings people together.
Yeah.
That's what we always try to do, build up on community. So that will be a great opportunity. It's coming up. We're going to be at shops and supermarkets a little bit late in April, and then the month of May, when that's our core team for the raffles.
Well, I'm glad that we have this support. I'm hoping that as a community we look very closely at what is transpiring regionally and globally, but in particular here.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that we are willing sometimes to stick our heads in the sand like the ostrich. But if you do that, what position are you in?
Exactly.
And how vulnerable are you then? Picture you can paint your own mind. I'll leave it to you.
You have the tail outside. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. You can't see it coming, right?
Can't see it coming.
No pun intended there. and we can't be that. We got to be proactive, and it may offend some people, but the truth is the truth. And if we don't face it and embrace it, if we don't build that sense of unity, we can't have strength in our community.
Yes.
And it's not always that we give equally, but we all need to give willingly.
Yes.
And we have time. Some have an hour for the month. Some have 1,000 hours for the year.
Yes.
Right? Some got lots of money and some don't have any.
Right.
Yes.
But we all have some level of talent.
Yes.
Right? And we need to make sure that we do.
Yes.
All right. I recognize the hour, and I'm certainly hoping that we have more discussions. Not just about the raffle, but about inclusion and participation.
Life. Yes.
And together, me and Mr. Marlon, we're gonna make some things happen.
Oh yes. Definitely. Because you have to.
There's some of us that need to be chastised. Some of us that need to be, given counsel.
Yeah,
There's some of us that
get up on the stand.
Yeah, man. I
stand in the stand and cheer.
Man must stand in the gap. We also must be able to defend the goal line.
Defend the goal line.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
All right. Closing thoughts, Mr. Marlon. First to you, and I know as a gentleman you are, we'll leave the best for the last.
Of course, definitely. First of all, just to say thank you again for hosting us.
Yes.
And to even look at our youngsters and what is happening on our island today, and to afford us the opportunity as an organization to let the rest of the Cayman Islands know what we're doing in the schools, in particular for my role, the high schools. A lot of potential with our youngsters. They're extremely talented, gifted, and it's just a matter of getting them on the right path, the correct path. And we're there, along with our team, and I call our club leaders, our team members, to see the mandate that we have to get these kids on the right path. It's not insurmountable. We are dedicated, and we will have that done for our island. So again, thank you very much for having us.
You're most welcome, sir.
God bless.
Amen.
Our wonderful, beautiful island.
Amen.
Thank you.
Let's follow.
We could not do the community servicings that we do without our talented staff and our extended staff. Just like Marlon was proud to share who in the schools, like the high schools, the teachers are helping us to deliver on a daily basis. We as a leadership team are very proud of our team members. Our extended family is actually what makes us the most proud of. So we are hoping that the community embraces our Y family when they see our new logo, when they see us out and about, when they hear about how we actually are impacting the younger generations, because we are writing together the history of the Cayman Islands, and this country is going to be stronger because of what we're doing today.
If we stand together in unity, we can have strength, right?
Yes.
Well, Ms. Paula, thank you very much. And
thank you.
I'm hoping that what is said, because of the voices, that will resonate within our hearts, and that we'll be prepared to stand in the gap. Cheer fervently from the stands, but
definitely
be willing to take up the pitch, right?
I will be there, in front of the wicket, padded and ready to bat.
As you play cricket, I'll go to the football.
Yeah. All right, no problem.
I love it, man. All right, I'm going to pause and take a break. I've invited some to join us. A good friend might come in at 1 and better one at 1:30. Who knows? But if not, God's willing, I'll be here when we return. I'm not going to sing, but I'll share. So stay tuned.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman thanks customers for their patience and advises that the Jobs Cayman portal has been restored and is now operational. To access the Jobs Cayman portal, visit work.ky. In international news, a report from the World Health Organization has found 1 in 6 people around the world experience infertility. There also appears to be little difference in rates across high, middle, and low-income countries. The proportion of adults affected by infertility during their lives is 17.8% in high-income countries and 16.5% in low- and middle-class income ones. WHO is calling for better access to fertility care across all nations. A Virginia school teacher who was shot by her 6-year-old student has filed a $40 million lawsuit against school officials alleging gross negligence for ignoring warning signs. The lawsuit filed on Monday argues the defendants knew the child had a history of random violence. Abigail Zwerner was shot on January 6th in the hand and upper chest and spent 2 weeks in hospital. The school teacher has undergone surgery 4 times. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
When you have a sports or fitness-related injury, trust the expertise of the HSA Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic to get you back in the game. Our internationally trained and certified physicians specialize in sports traumatology, sports medicine, pain management, and orthopedic surgery. For treatment of common injuries such as tendonitis, arthritis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff, or knee tears, schedule a consultation with the Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic at Smith Road Medical Center by calling 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky for more information.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Creek, Cayman Brac on the 25th of September 1939, Henry Mansfield Connolly was the third of 8 children for Henry Kitchener and Olive Connolly. As with many of the men of his generation, he went to sea at the tender age of 15 and worked for Mr. Southwell and National Bulk Carriers for some 30 plus years. During this time, he rose from being an oiler pumpman to the post of second engineer after completing correspondence engineer courses from a school in New York. He sailed on many ships, including the Universe Leader, Universe Defender, or Titan, or Venus, or Meteor, or Transport. After his tenure at National Bulk Carriers, he was one of the few Brackers who worked with Cayman Energy Company doing the ship-to-ship oil transfers off the island in the 1980s. After a medical injury, he retired from sea and started his own plumbing engineer company, C&H Plumbing.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us. And as we invite you to be a part of our discussion, we're hoping that you can share your thoughts. Maybe, help to point us in the right direction. Maybe encourage that we are on the right path. Perhaps at times we don't always appreciate that the difference between that thing that is successful or that thing that could be, prevented is our actions. Oftentimes, we look at life and we say it's not only a lie because of commission, it's a lie by omission. Or at times it isn't the action, it's the inaction. Unfortunately for many of us, and I would like to say us, include us all, we look at something and we recognize that it's going to involve a level of sacrifice and service. It may make us uncomfortable. And yet we hear people say, you got to step outside your comfort zone. But do we? And when we do, are we embraced or ridiculed? Are we encouraged and nurtured? Or are we accused and sometimes ostracized? Well, the question is, as I have been reminded even until just recently, one person can make a difference. You don't need to walk earth as a spirit man. You can just be a regular mortal. But if you have purpose in your heart with a genuine spirit, a sincere attitude, if you're not seeking particular acclaim and fame or some sort of reward and recognition, but if you're doing it with a purpose. No, as a good friend reminded me recently, she said, sometimes when you do things, you talk about standing in the gap, but are you willing to stand at the fore and to be, for want of a better way, because I can't repeat it in her parlance, are you willing to be the face of that thing, to be the champion for that thing, recognizing oftentimes that things are deliberately hindered because of who is doing it, who is proposing it, and who is it that is, potentially perceived as going to benefit from it. And it's hindered by people who otherwise, if they would use their energy, would help to facilitate this thing and let it be more positive. But instead expend even more effort, even more resources, money and otherwise, to prevent. Now, if you say that that's naive or you say that's unfounded, then call and tell me. Because how many times have we seen good things go awry simply because a person is able, either through the stroke of a pen, through standing in one space and misdirecting, and cause this thing to just go off the rails and never get off the ground. And you wonder why. Now, many can put forward a particular reason or reasons why. Well, leave it be. 949-8037, 949-6990. Or use the toll-free line at 1-800-534-8255 or WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us. Because at the end of the day, as we look at where we are right this second, we see Easter is coming up and we're excited because our children are excited to go camping or to travel, or because they get a few days off school, or because of some, activities going to take place over the Easter break. But there are many who are fearful for whatever reason, for many reasons. But if there is hope because there's life, and if there's a willingness to serve because there's a genuine intent to be of value, then we can make the difference. But if you want something done, then some effort and energy needs to be expended. And we need to exert ourselves in a way that adds value. And it's not always of equal value. For some, the effort is merely showing up. For others, they're already there. They just need to dig a little deeper. But for some of us, are we asking of ourselves the same that we ask of others? Well, call and share your thoughts. 949-8037, 949-6990. We believe the phone lines are there, and as much as, it may weigh heavily on my heart to see a society that isn't always inclusive, isn't always trying to do the very best. And by that, I don't only mean our Caymanian society, the society in the Cayman Islands, but around the world. We live in a time when we have friends and family that are spread to the four corners of the world, and despite the distance and the differential in time, we can connect immediately because of technology. It is not like not long ago when if you were able to pick up what is now perhaps an antiquated technology by the word telephone. But if you were able to connect like that, it was one, very difficult, because the phone rang in a place where maybe not many had access to that, and the person at the end physically connected the other person. But it was also very costly to a time when perhaps even before that, you wrote something on paper and it was sent and took a long time to get to where you intended it, and then the response came. Now, there are those of us who can remember that in the working environment. You sent a letter of sorts of instructions or information, and you waited for a response, and then you sat on it for a while to get that information that was requested and sent it back. And before you know it, what now is done in seconds probably took months. There are those who remember that environment, not because they're as old as Methuselah, but because they have the actual history from their parents or from their own experiences. But where are we today in looking at the changes and being able to not only embrace them, but have the tenacity to endure it? So again, I invite you to give us a shout, 949-8037, 949-6990, or 1-800-534-8255. It's a toll-free call with the compliments of Flow, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. I had an interesting discussion. I mean, today, for some, is only the second day into the working week. For others, we've been continually on shift that we're not sure what day it is. Now, irrespective of our perspective, the notion is very simple. That we live in a changing time when we're hearing things like alternate truths. Let's control the narrative. Let's ensure that we flip the script. And for many, what was once instilled in us as part of our education, our own sort of mentoring and that we should question things, test things, be able to verify the veracity of things, be willing to stand and champion what we think were true and just and the like. To a space now where if you do that, you may be ostracized and maligned, from the most published research scientists to the most respected and revered, public figure, to the educator in the classrooms who, through her own teaching and expertise and experience, are saying to her students, sometimes at the behest of not only parents but policymakers, let's try to develop critical thinkers so that as the students go, that they not only have a strong acumen, a very indomitable spirit relative to their work ethic and the like, but that they are positioned to ensure that what they say and do is for the greater good. Now, if that's being redefined, and if the golden rule has changed to either, he who has the gold, or perhaps he who has the gun, or he who has the gun that guards the gold, well, instead of, do unto others as we know it to be, we have to ask ourselves, are we prepared to accept that? And if we are in a world where dialogue and diplomacy is being increasingly replaced by force and the ability, to ensure that people do what they're told, simply because, well, if not, then they won't like the consequences. Well, the phone lines are lighting up. Our guys are on the end, and as we take the call, welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling. Hello, good afternoon. All right. I know from, what I was shared, it seems Mr. P will be still having some problems with the phones. Share your thoughts. We will see what we can do. And my parents always remind us that, if you want something, you got to work for it. Don't expect something for nothing. Don't, look at rewarding. No, they may have said it differently. Mediocrity and laziness. That through their example, we understand that, like their peers and their forefathers, that ambition, hard work, that the sense of determination and honesty and integrity were important. That was the moral compass that guided them. And we question in today's world, well, what is being rewarded and recognized, and how is it that certain things seem to go unpunished? Well, we're going to try to take this call in a second. Just bear with us 1 second as he gets back and tries to connect the red wire to the blue wire, and hopefully it comes, something positive. 949-8037, 949-6990, or 1-800-534-8255. And let's see if it works or when it works. You can also WhatsApp 925-3261. We'll try it again, sir. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, hello.
Hey, good afternoon.
Yeah, Sterling, how you doing?
Excellent. How are you?
Yeah, well, I can't complain,
Is that because it don't make sense, or who listening can't help, or who can help not listening?
Yeah, exactly. You said it. Exactly. Well, I was trying to get on yesterday, but you had a business show yesterday. It was an interesting show. I wonder if some of these local politicians and stuff really listening to the complaints of the people.
I'm hoping that we are, man, and we'll do something positive about it.
Yeah, exactly. I hope so. What I calling about today?
Mm-hmm.
Who, if there anybody that is checking these people on work permits and stuff, that they come here on a work permit to do for a company to say, and then they get jobs now to do side jobs and all that kind of stuff going on. You know what I'm talking about? Like if they get the contract like for a big company, work permit for a company to work, and they go on another little job now and get what they call like a little roast now or something to do in the night and work and all that kind of stuff. Is there anybody checking on these kind of stuff?
It's interesting that you reference that, right? Because I'm trying to think now how many times in the last 3 weeks that people have referenced that to me. Oh, you need to tell somebody. Oh, you need to do something. Well, I've passed something along to the requisite authorities, but it seems that has become a very, not just common practice, but very accepted and expected practice. John is working for Mary. Mary has his permit to do whatever. Mary doesn't have enough work or doesn't even have work at all, but John goes out, and for whatever reason, Mary has got the permit for John. Now, we want people to be, have a better life, but at what cost to the country? So what do we do about that? If that is happening, what do we do?
That's a pity. Well, stop it. Send the people back to the country and prosecute and find whoever the guy find that is doing this.
Yeah.
If the people doing it on their own, if the workers on permits doing it on their own without the boss, without the knowledge of the boss, well, they should get arrested and get penalized for it.
Okay.
Because I mean they're undercutting a lot of people, because some of the like the little carpenters and stuff that not contractors came on that could go do a little day's work or two, or hang a little door or do a little bit of sheetrock or something. If these people on permit come in and do that, then they're undercutting and taking food out of the Caymanian people.
Right.
So there needs to be a serious I don't know why there's a
level of enforcement. All right.
Yeah, but what we're going to send out to a serious level of a survey or something needs to be done to find out what
the investigation.
What is the cost of living that you need to survive in Cayman? Because if these people come here on work permit and they're only getting $10 an hour, $6 an hour, they can't survive. Then the same law is leading them to do other stuff to make a living to survive.
Yeah.
If they're getting a permit, it should be a survey saying, well, okay, they can't live off of $6 an hour. They can't live off of $10 an hour. They need $15 an hour to live off or something. Because sometimes when they put in the permits, they say $15 an hour that they're getting, and the worker on the permit don't even get that. He might be getting 10, and the one that getting the permit getting all the 5 same way.
Right. So let me ask you a question. Right, as you talk about loosely, we just call it minimum wage. So now it's, $5 an hour, we can make it 15, or $6 an hour, we can make it 18, whatever the sum is, right? Let me ask you a question. If we had a minimum wage of $15 an hour, or $5 an hour, who do you think benefits from that? Is it mostly by raising the work permit, the minimum wage? Is it the work permit holder that would benefit mainly from that, or the non-work permit holder, the Caymanian worker?
Well, that's a good question. It should be everybody because that's the minimum wage, right?
Right.
Everybody should be benefit, but that's a good question. The same thing might continue. I'm not saying that can be the solution to that ends the permits. I'm just saying it would be an incentive more or less for them not to go out and do other work away from their contract what they're being employed for, because they're not going out there and get extra work because they want, or they're going out there because they need it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because their experience, their job isn't real enough by the time they send home, or even the cost of living just here. So they got to go out now. They're kind of forced now to go out and do more work, even though they might be tired and might want to do it, but then they're forced to go and do the work and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there needs to be a serious look into that kind of thing. Cause it's not gonna get no better. It's been going on for years, but it's just that I'm bringing it up again now to see if anything else can be done now in this day and age about it, because everything is just like we throw the soap of water, the bathtub, and the baby out the window. Everything is out the window now. It's a like a free for all going on out there now in the labor market, especially in the construction market, because the people that's supposed to be doing stuff about it, they're not doing nothing about it. You know what I mean?
Well, if we're not doing anything about it, is that going to resolve the issue?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not.
Well, I appreciate you making your points. Anything else you want to share before we take the other call?
No, I'm good for today.
You call back if you choose. Thank you, man. Thank you for listening and sharing. All right.
Yep. Okay.
All the best. Let's take this other call. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling Dwayne. Mario Ebanks, how are you?
Good afternoon, man. How are you?
Not bad, and happy Holy Week to you and to all your listeners.
Amen, man. Blessings to us all.
People of the Cayman Islands, yes. Right. Just want to raise one point today. I got a lot of points I could raise, but I want to just focus on one. I don't know if you noticed, you saw the article in the Compass online concerning the permanent residency point system ruled unconstitutional. That was the title of the article. And essentially, what the article reports on is on a recent Court of Appeal decision where the Court of Appeal basically said that the permanent residency point system does not give sufficient weight to individual circumstances of an applicant. And it also says that as a result of that Court of Appeal ruling, existing legislation operating in Cayman, in particular in regards to immigration and work and permanent residency, may be operating ultra vires or against certain parts of the Constitution in regard to private and family life. This came about as a result of a lawsuit that was placed, again, I guess judicial review that was taken up by one of the local law firms, and as a result of a number of appeals being made by two individuals who had applied for permanent residency or PR, and because they failed to reach 110 points that's required under the point system that was determined and put in place in regulations by Cabinet. And but these individuals now won this representation before the Court of Appeal, and it's quite serious. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed it or concerned about it, or it's coming on anybody's radar, but I think it's a very, very serious and far-reaching matter that has some serious implications for these islands, because if people now can argue about the correctness of the point system and can successfully deal with that and overcome those hurdles, we are opening our floodgates again for people to be able to come in here. And right now, there are 34,000 work permits in place in the Cayman Islands. And Caymanians, I believe the figure now is about 47% of our population. If we open the floodgates again, it'll be worse than what happened in 2003 with the status fiasco, which you recall, I believe, Dwayne, right? But I just want to say that the point I want to make is that once again, this decision by the Court of Appeal in relation to permanent residency point system rule unconstitutional says to me that we need to urgently and comprehensively review our immigration system, the regulations, the law or the act, and come up with a vision of where we want to be, and look at things like how do we reform ER, how do we reform Caymanian status. If we're going to protect future generations, we need to take a tough stand, an equitable stand, but we've got to do it now, because this if we get another floodgates opening up again, young people and future generations in this country are doomed forever, and we have to draw the line in the sand, my friend. I give way.
Yeah. Well, as I listen to you, let me ask, because you come from the perspective of not only a public servant, not only someone with a private sector experience, your education, and the like. If you were in a position to consult and advise, what would you suggest that we do to address some of those woes that you refer?
Well, I do have a package of solutions which I will unveil at the appropriate time and at the appropriate place. But I am not going to do it now. You and I have spoken about some of those things privately. But there are certainly things that can be done. What is clear to me, that legalizing marijuana and legalizing gambling is not a priority when we're faced with a situation like this, where our whole immigration system and the future of Caymanians are threatened because of loopholes such as this. The government ought to be looking at this very seriously, putting in place a task force of thinkers and action people, and put together the necessary legislative corrective measures that need to be put in place to deal with this, because this is a potentially serious threat to our quote-unquote soft underbelly, because this here could bring us down in terms of, if it takes root and other people get the idea that they can do the same thing and they can challenge this thing, because, like I said, we only need one more slight floodgate and it's all over. And 34,000 work permits in effect. The population balance of those work permits is also a matter I'm concerned about. And Caymanians are losing ground, losing population majority. And that is not a good way to build a nation. That is really not a good way to build a nation. So I don't want to dodge your question. I do have the ideas and solutions, and or these suggestions, which we can talk about, and you're sure, otherwise in due course. I don't want to go into the detail now.
I respect your.
But we can. But certainly, it means we need and a lot of the stuff, not new, because I have said so the last 20 years in many cases. But nobody listens. But we need to put the brakes on this thing, because if young people, young generations and young families are going to have a future, your children, your grandchildren are going to have a future in this country, we need to really not preach things, but practice it.
Okay, so
development is what we need.
Yeah.
We need to look at the long term.
With you saying that, right? Preach, practice. And I do respect your choice. When, as you said, you feel the time is appropriate. But just generally speaking, a couple of things. A, is it for the elected politician or appointed person, or is it for the Cayman electorate, the Caymanian, to start to say and do? Or do we leave it for the elected or the appointed?
Well, Caymanians are very famous for getting together on weekends and in the evenings and what old people call shoo-shooing and talking. But when you come to taking action, when you come into sticking your neck out, when you come to taking that cup and being bold and courageous and standing alone and being a Daniel, there are not many of us around.
So given that,
my answer to you is that people have the answer if they are willing to take the stand.
Okay.
But in our society, and I know how it is personally because I've felt it and I feel it. When you stick your neck out and take a stand, there's a lot of people that are there to chop your neck off, and not people coming out to support you, to
Fair enough.
help you.
All right.
Right. But so there's that disincentive or that fear then to speak out. When politicians get elected, I don't know what it is. Whether it is just overwhelmed by the community work, or what people are calling the community sugar mamas and sugar daddies, and they can't really get to deal with the big picture or what it is. But some of these big ticket items are not being dealt with, and slowly we're kicking a can down the road.
Right. So as an aspiring thought leader, right, with that point, is that a problem? Talk is cheap, right? We beat up, as you said, our gums under the coconut tree, but we don't stand in the gap. We don't stand publicly. We don't share. We don't hold others accountable. We're not willing to accept responsibility. Mm-hmm. Is it then that failure to act, the notion that we got to be politically correct, we can't call a spade, the things that we say privately, we refuse, as you rightfully said, for the most part, to say publicly. Is it then that in listening to what you're saying, we pander, either as aspiring politicians, as those who are incumbent and looking for re-election, to cater to a particular vote? With great respect, we hear in some constituencies, we got to cater to the Jamaican vote. In West Bay, we hear we got to cater to the Cuban vote. Like many jurisdictions that want to cater to the female voter, to the young voter, to this, why can't we just cater to the country and do what's right? Why do we have to do, and why are we following in the Cayman context and failing to do what we know we're supposed to do?
I don't know, my friend. I guess it's part of maturity, but I'm telling you, we don't have much more time to pander and to get into paralysis by analysis. We have to take action. And this issue here, you see in the Cayman Compass, concerning the article concerning permanent residency point system rule unconstitutional. I encourage everybody to read that and to think about that, and to encourage our 19 representatives that they need to. They're talking about putting together a select committee to look at legalizing or decriminalizing marijuana and liberalizing gambling. That should be put on the backbench forever, and put something like this in a state and deal with, because immigration, human capital development, sustainable development, environmental sensitivity, all those issues are critical to this three small beautiful islands. But
right.
We're just going off into all of these little.
Let me ask, right?
Things to buy votes or to break ground or to cut ribbons.
Yeah.
Let's look at these kind of big things that build a nation.
I give you the.
I don't want to go off.
No. That's all connected, and you choose whether it's your wish to answer no or not. So let me ask the question: what if that individual, whether a politician on the political trail, whether some other public pundit, parent or otherwise, says, "Listen, we got to do this thing. We know it's hard." I'll just give some examples. We're going to, no more work permits. We're going to put a moratorium on certain developments. We're going to, whatever these things are that potentially could mean that for the short term, there's going to be a certain level of discomfort in terms of the added money that you could make. But the long term is perceived and expected to be, because of proper analysis, that there'll be an improved quality of life in terms of safety, security, and stability, social harmony, that, as you referenced, the subsequent generations may have an opportunity, not just for job and job creation, but to own, some sort of property. Just like our parents and their parents before made that sacrifice, that it's now time to do this. What do you think would happen to that person that made those comments, even if they were acknowledged in private? Would they be supported in public?
That gets that gets down to, that's a good question, Dwayne, as all your questions are. Our electorate need to be a lot more enlightened, because our electorate seem to be judging people and electing people on what you can do for me, or whether you're family, or whether you're friend, or whether you're going to build a road or build a building or whatever. But when you talk about some of those qualitative things of building a country, building a nation, things like quality of life, security, peace, social fabric, opportunity for your family, all those things, we don't give put enough weight on, right? And so we look at, people are judged on material things, what we can see, the quantity, and not necessarily the quality. But I believe that, we had Vision 2008, which was a good attempt. That was involving hundreds, maybe thousands of people throughout the three islands, looking at the future of the country, looking at strategies and action plans for a plethora of subjects. That plan, a couple of things got done to it, but it was largely put on the shelf and expired. In 1972, we had a consultancy done by a group called Loventhal and Howard. Loventhal and Howard. And they looked at the long-term growth of the country and looked at carrying capacity. That was also thrown out. That plan was thrown out because it was not consistent with the government's pro-destruction or pro-growth approach in the late 70s, right? Then we had Coopers and Libran did a report, I think, was around 2099 or 2000, that in that range, I think it was. And again, so what's happening, Sterling Green, is that our electorate seem to be not as enlightened. Our politicians are not trying to bring them up to a higher level of discourse in terms of, like you said, like you used the word thought leadership. And so we are kind of foundering in a kind of a lower realm than we should be. But what I want to say today, and I don't want, like I say, one of these days I come on your show and we can talk at length about a whole range of things, and at that time I might be able to outline those solutions that I told you about, because I do have them, But I want to leave you where I started, and that is, look at that article in the Compass about permanent residency point system rule on Constitution. Think about the impact of that. Think about if that continues then to cascade into Caymanian status, what's the impact of that going to be? Or if you have a huge class action suit by all those people who are in the rings there, reading PR and feel that they need to get status, and you have another floodgate opening, what's going to happen to these three small, beautiful islands? And like I said, I leave that with you.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate your time and you're engaging with me. And again, a happy Easter and God bless you and all your listeners.
Well, thank you for doing that. And as you sort of leave your thoughts there, maybe I'll say through you to the public that let's consider a couple of things that you shared. The notion that where we are now, what is it required for us to get where we're going? Are we willing to be, as you referenced, the Daniels, right? And to do the right thing. And when that Daniel stands, are we going to stand with him? And, and otherwise, but maybe we'll get there. And quick message and comment from one of our listeners say that this needs to be taken out of the law right now. There's no time to wait. Immediately, the Chief Officer in the responsible ministry needs to bring a paper to Cabinet so that this can be brought to the House immediately. All right, we're going to pause and take a break. I invited a young chap to join me to be a part of Unfolding Landscape to discuss some of the things. Maybe I'll get him, if he's so inclined, to weigh in some of the thoughts. But let's have some meaningful dialogue. Please join us after the break.
From boat days to beach gatherings, Leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Spring is in the air and Easter is just around the corner. So too is Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village. They're stocked with Easter gifts and treats and new spring apparel. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Get all of your Easter purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call them 946-3336. Parents, Savannah Pharmacy invites the neighborhood children to visit the store on Saturday, April 8th before 12 p.m. to pick up their own Easter goodie bags.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Motor Insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Britke. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
Enjoy a magical night of arts and culture at Red Sky at Night, multidisciplinary arts fair at the Hockwell Cultural Center, Saturday, 15th April from 2 to 11 p.m. With 4 stages of live music, dance, poetry, and theater performances, over 100 artists and artisans, creative kids corner, delicious food, Caymanian village with traditional demonstrations and fireworks. There is so much to see and do at Red Sky at Night. Brought to you by the Cayman National Cultural Foundation. Early bird tickets are $15 and $25 at Funky Tanks locations, the CNCF office, or online at www.ticketsplus.ky.
If it's time for new appliances, hop on into the LG Appliance Easter Sale, now on at Brand Source Home Gallery. Save 15% off on LG appliances. Buy a 4-piece kitchen and you'll get a further 5% off. Yes, if you have older appliances that have seen better days, don't wait. Take advantage now of the LG Appliance Easter Sale. Hurry in. Sale ends Saturday, April 15th. Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Phone 623-5000.
Spring is in the air and Easter is just around the corner. So too is Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village. They're stocked with Easter gifts and treats and new spring apparel. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Get all of your Easter purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call them 946-3336. Parents, Savannah Pharmacy invites the neighborhood children to visit the store on Saturday, April 8th before 12 p.m. to pick up their own Easter goodie bags.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. 2 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside and Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine, free pickup and delivery services available. Call Puritan Cleaners 949-7104. Also ask about our in-house discounts. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Puritan Cleaners, 949-7104. That's 949-7104.
Ensuring your walls, ceilings, and floors are properly sealed against air leaks is an important step in lowering your monthly energy bills. Even small gaps around windows, under doors, or around lighting and plumbing fixtures can add up to as much air loss as having an open window.
The do-it-yourself energy audits on energy.gov.ky make it easy to find ways to save energy and money in your home or business.
Complete an energy audit of your home or business before 31st of May 2023 to be entered into a prize giveaway. Prizes include a $5,000 gift certificate to Home Gas and gift certificate certificates to Cooling Pros, Foam Pros, Cost Less, and Foster's.
To learn more, visit energy.gov.ky today and follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The MedLab team would like to wish the community a very happy Easter and remind you to be safe while camping.
Have you written a book or a song? Created a unique logo, software program, or invention? Do you want to protect your creation so that you can be recognized for it and maybe benefit financially? Visit the Cayman Islands Intellectual Property Office website at ciipo.ky for more information on how to register your invention or creation. That's ciipo.ky. Wednesday, April 26th is World Intellectual Property Day. It's your innovation, your creation, and your intellectual property. Protect it today.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for joining us. And as we go to our phones, I want to say a special thanks to Mr. Philip Richter for coming in the studio, keeping my company, sharing a thought. And just before we go to the phone and add this caller to our conversation, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. It's always a pleasure being in Radio Cayman. I was an intern here many moons ago, around a decade ago.
Gee.
So it's cool to come back, and it's cool to talk to the people of the Cayman Islands. I enjoy it very much.
And I'm hoping that we listen and we act together, and as we engage in some meaningful, dialogue, that we come up with something positive and constructive. But let's take this call.
Yes, sir.
Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for holding on.
Hold on.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what going on, man?
Oh, man. Life is good, man. Let's make it better because we work together.
I hope so, but it didn't sound like that was a politician or whatever they were trying to preach.
But, if we have safety in numbers, if we have a willingness of the masses to work and to do what our parents did, serve and sacrifice, have a heart and a spirit of giving and a sense of appreciation, I believe, I believe that we can do something positive. But the question is, are we willing?
Are we willing? He couldn't answer that one second. He couldn't give you a direct answer on nothing about unity. It's all about, that sound like a fear trick again. We must worry about this floodgate that will open up. I never hear nothing about that. And we must put ganja in gambling on the back burner forever. Like who he is, like the Lord of the Rings, or like who he is. You understand? He's some grand wizard, Mr. Dwayne.
I want to let you ask questions and make comments, and then I'll see if I can share. But go right ahead, man. Talk to me.
No, man. That's what I feel like again. You understand this same thing again now? Like we must worry about something else. How you bring up about the babies, right? When you lock up babies, when they don't give you the urine. How you going to talk about that? Huh?
And the cost of doing that, right?
Yeah, and the cost of doing that, $500 million. What you talk about? That's why I tell you all them, they need to change, Mr. Dwayne. That's why we sound like that. You try and bring up and ask him about the unity. He didn't want to hear nothing about that, and I bet you every one of them dodges that question. Not true, Mr. Dwayne?
I think we're finding more and more that because, and I'm not as much as the gentleman that called, he'll tell you that we will have some very engaged discussions. I don't want to speak to him specifically, but to all of us. No, I respect that. But to all of us collectively in answering your question, are we willing to stand in the gap? Are we willing to look at the politician that we elected and say, guy, get off your high horse, get on the road and get out of the way? Or are we willing to look at the senior civil servant, retired or still serving, and say, listen, man, you don't measure up. But more importantly, are we willing to look in the mirror and say that to the person reflected back, right? Because the problem in this community is that seemingly, as large as our problems are, they're probably solvable, manageable if we acknowledge and address them, and compared to the global landscape, they're really not that big, right? But if we ignore them,
Yeah, if they try to ignore them. You remember when they brought up about the conch farming? You see anything come up? You see anything ever come up about that? Not one idea. Or that whole public beach, 7 Mile Beach, that could be one whole fish farm right there. No, that could be for tourists swimming around with suntan lotion. Come on now, man. These people there, they like they stuck in their own little world, man.
Yeah, we have Mr. Philip Richter, as I mentioned. Let me ask him to weigh in if he chooses. Phil?
I won't listen to him. I gotta hang up, man. Listen to him. Thank you very much.
But before you
I have a question just for you specifically.
All right.
If you had a magic wand, what would you fix first? Like, what are the issues you see in Cayman, and how would you fix them if you had the magic wand?
Wow.
I would have to fix the healthcare and the food sustainability. Everything else that can wait.
That can wait, but healthcare and food sustainability, those are your priorities?
That's the number one.
Yeah. Why are they your priorities over other things like the conch farming that you had mentioned?
Why are they? Because number one, you need to have good health, and for you to have good health, you need to have good food. For you to have good food, you need to be healthy to farm your own food.
Nice. Thank you.
Very insightful, huh?
Very.
Hey, thanks very much, man.
All right.
I'm gonna maybe add something to that, but Phil, you if you wish. If not, I will.
Take the lead.
A man say, let me defer to the elders.
Rightfully so.
Age before beauty. Huh? No, but here's a gentleman who just called, and as I understand, he's questioning of me and the call and others. Where's our action? All right, we can talk.
Right.
But what's a priority? And then his answer to your question off the bat, without any sort of, wavering. Obviously, something that is of importance to him, and from a considered perspective, the health of a nation and its food security.
Very
right?
important things.
Education, I think, is included in what he shared, right?
Yes.
Because we're knowledgeable to do those two things.
But if you, and these are stories I reported on back in my Cayman 27 days, if a child goes to school hungry, they're not learning.
Right.
So it is very important that we have good food. Food nourishes the body, and then you will give you the fuel needed to go on with your day, concentrate in class, learn questions, rather than almost pass out because you have nothing in your stomach to eat. And, maybe you can get like a granola bar here and there, but that's not a full nutritional meal. That's not a full, what's the word I'm looking at? That's not a full balanced diet.
Right.
Right. So I would say, to his points, I share those same issues. I'm big on food security, and this is something I spoke about during COVID times. Like, we are now seeing the downfall of relying on everything being imported here.
Right.
We should take, as much as we're obviously going to have to bring things in, but we can do our part in easing and in growing our local supply. It won't match what we bring in, but it is a good insurance plan.
Can I ask, right? And I really appreciate you accepting the invitation to come and join us. I'm prayerful that the people listening, hopefully they won't hold it against me, but more importantly, they don't hold whatever said against you, right?
Yeah.
And make it personal, and then as a result, create within our society what the caller prior to the one last said, anybody who sticks their head up and says something that, they get ostracized, right? He worded it a little bit more directly, but in the way I say that is that I don't want people to just harp on it only, but I don't want to ignore it. For me, dialogue and diplomacy is more important than the gun and the goal, right?
Yeah.
And I'd rather train somebody with the skill set to help rather than being a soldier. We hear people in Cayman talk about we need more policing, and the policing needs to be a force, and the police needs to be equipped with certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's accepted, expected, or acknowledged, or the right way, wouldn't it be better if you were in a community, and these exist apparently, where the wider community, through the shared ethos, can enforce the expected norms? Something as simple as you now got on to a bus,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to pay the fare without getting off. You're not going to jump the turnstile. Remember in New York long ago, that was an issue, and then they
Right.
fixed it, right? And, psychologists got a term, broken windows. And,
Yeah, I was about to say, it sounds
all
like
that kind of
broken
stuff,
windows,
right?
yeah.
Sounds great, right? And when we don't pay attention to the practices of ancestors that were made sense,
Mhm.
we throw the baby with the bathwater. This is the problems that happen. But when you fast forward to the Cayman context, and we look at where we are, and what if, for argument's sake, you went into a restaurant?
Yeah.
And I love to eat and I love to cook.
Me too.
Oh, man, I just love it, right? And it was the practice that, listen, we know most people that come in here, eat and run. So guess what? You got to pay up front. Now, we know the practice is different. You sit down, you eat, you're not rushed out, you'll have a good meal, excellent service, the food is fantastic. Sometimes the chef comes out because you call and say, man, thank you. And then the bill comes and you pay for it or you share it up. That's usually the practice,
You
right?
give a nice tip as
and
well.
And you leave a nice tip, right? I had a wonderful meal last evening, and my friend, man, he just made the company even better, and he left as he always does, wonderful tip.
Rightfully so. You got to appreciate the service.
Right. So that's the community that we have. But what if it was the former? Now, we would not want to see that, right? But what if that exists some places where you leave without paying? Everybody does that.
Mhm.
You sneak out the back, you jump through the window, you create some distraction, and you run away.
You left your wallet in the car.
Oh, man. No.
Convenient.
Now, hopefully people say, well, that will happen. But what if that was the norm? You wouldn't want that society.
No, that's and to your point about that and broken windows, that would be a very untrustworthy society. You'd always be looking over your shoulder,
right?
So on and so forth. No.
So I know we're going to take the break in about 3 minutes or thereabouts, right?
Mhm.
And I'm hoping that through you we'll invite some conversation that looks at the local landscape, but the global picture, that ask ourselves, where are we now and where would we like to be, not the election cycle from now, but short term, in my mind, 50 years from now. We may not be here, God's willing we are, but prayer for our children and grandchildren will be. Is that a safe, secure, civil, stable society? Is that a society that has gated communities? And there's a fellow that comes to mind that is, if I was inflamed by the behavior of somebody, is this Matt. I mean, he's just a horrible person. Politicians complain about him, but they do nothing. But yet, he's able to, not because he's wealthy, because he's not. He's morally bankrupt. But he's a mutt. And I say that because if I use another word, my mom would smack me. Right? But we embrace these people. And yet, good people who do great things get punished. Something is wrong with that?
No, that sounds like the upside down.
Ah, is it now?
Yeah.
And I don't upside down either. But I'm not saying that out of anger.
Yeah.
I'm saying that out of an understanding that we turn a blind eye to so much, right?
Let me ask you this. Where do you think that blind eye comes from? Do you think that we're so consumed with our daily lives? I mean, right now, things are I don't want to say tough because everyone's different, but it's definitely a changing times. A lot of people I speak to, they always say, oh, every time I go to the supermarket, things cost more. The gas, this is going up, that's going up, so on and so forth. So people have so many things in their lives that they have to deal with. Do you think that they don't want to deal with other additional problems because they have to focus on their own?
Yeah. That's an excellent question, right? And I've been asking myself, what is that? And it's probably easy to point fingers and say it's the influence of the media or the influence of that or whichever.
Very vague complaints, boogeyman. Yeah.
But I think it's because for whatever reason, and you may be right.
Maybe.
The enemy has distracted us so much and we're consumed with just trying to make a living that we don't have a life. But is it that we're afraid we lack. If you'd allow me to use his name, Mr. Mickey says it all the time, and he says it's his opinion, but he says we need to have that thing called courage, right? Are we lacking courage to do the right thing because we're afraid that we're going to get physically attacked, or we're going to be ostracized, disinvited, something?
That's a fair point. But if you, I guess, I mean, to your point, then we wouldn't have courage if you're scared of the repercussions. If you believe in something wholeheartedly, nothing can stop you. To go to some extreme examples, if you want to go on an international scale and a local scale, look how women's rights came in Cayman. That was a group of united women that said, no more. No, we want the same rights men do.
And look at when they did that relative to, say, the U.S., right?
Yeah.
As we go into the break, a friend sent this. It's a quote from Winston Churchill. It says, fear is a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Courage is a decision.
There you have it.
All right. Let me pause. Let's go to the news. Join us after.
All right.
Radio Cayman,
the voice, the heart,
the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The RCIPS are investigating a robbery in the vicinity of Party Lane in Prospect that took place yesterday, April 3rd. Anonymous tips can be provided directly to the RCIPS via their confidential tip line at 949-7777 or at rcips.ky. In international news, Finland has become the 31st member of the NATO Security Alliance, doubling the length of member states' borders with Russia. The Finnish foreign minister handed the accession document to the U.S. Secretary of State, who declared Finland a member. Finland's accession is a setback for Russia's Vladimir Putin. He had repeatedly complained of NATO's expansion before his full-scale invasion of Ukraine. British billionaire Sir Richard Branson's rocket company Virgin Orbit has filed for bankruptcy in the U.S. after failing to secure new investment. The satellite launch company halted operations weeks ago, but it hopes to find a buyer for the business. The company, based in California, announced last week that it would cut 85% of its 750-strong workforce. Earlier this year, a Virgin Orbit rocket failed to complete its first ever satellite launch from UK soil. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road. Yo, they just don't make things like they used to. I could throw my old Nokia into a brick wall and it would bounce back ringing. Today, seems like electronics are made to break, not work. When the gadgets go down, and they will, check out all about electronics in Tropical Plaza, Smith Road, the modern-day Inspector Gadget. Quality, professional repair service. All about electronics in Tropical Plaza, Smith Road. Specializing in repair, service, and installation of all electronics. All about electronics in Tropical Plaza, Smith Road.
Between the traffic, the meetings, kids' activities, there just isn't enough time. Best Health Pharmacy was a game changer. Not only are they centrally located on Eastern Avenue, but they deliver prescriptions for free anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. I could not believe it. When my prescription ran out, they ran it back to me. Best Health Pharmacy, located at Crown Square Plaza on Eastern Avenue, across from Edie's Decor, offering free prescription delivery anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. Call 949-1301 or WhatsApp your prescription to 924-5358. Best Health Pharmacy. Your health, your convenience is their priority.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks for listening, sharing, and hopefully, as we engage, we'll find meaningful ways to improve, the quality of lives of all of us today and for eternity. Mr. Philip Richter, thank you for bringing your engaged mind to our discussion.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. I think talk radio is very important. And not saying that we don't get along, but as the old expression goes, like when enemies are talking, they're not fighting. So I believe in dialogue, like you, dialogue and diplomacy.
Yeah, man.
Sit around the table and hash it out before you have to...
Come, let us reason, Coach would say.
Yeah, exactly, before we get into conflict.
Yeah, man.
No one wants conflict. I mean, look at the Ukraine war. Oh, it's bad. And, but now, every now and again, I see little reports about, like, oh, let's peace deals. And it's like, great, like, let's get in a room and talk it out. And
It's interesting.
see what we can come up with.
We hear, depending on what we listen to or read or subscribe to, the geopolitical landscape.
Oh, boy.
For some of us, that's a term we've always known. For some of us, it's a relatively new term.
Yeah.
We hear all sorts of things, but maybe we don't appreciate the impact on us. And we only accept and repeat what the media reports. I want to ask you a couple of things about that in the local landscape, but I'm told we have a caller.
Yeah.
Let's give deference to our listeners and callers. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
I am truly healthy and blessed, favored. Thank God. How are you?
I just like you.
I in good company.
I just like you. Good afternoon to your studio guest.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
I am wonderful. I hear a lot of discussion about a healthier society, and I'm just wondering if that is your topic for today, or because I just got the chance to tune in just now.
We can make it that topic. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, thanks for having it as a topic.
Yeah.
When I said just, that was Caymanian just. When I first tuned in was when you were talking about people having a plea for a stronger police force that should be equipped with this or that. Or the alternative is to have better citizens, those who don't run away after eating their meals, but instead pay for it and leave a tip,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember back when we did live in such a society. And it is those very ideals and mores, that value system that we need to get back to. We don't need a police force. We should never need a regiment. We should strive to have a society in which people live respectfully and honestly, caring one for the other is what we should be striving towards, And a part of the process for that is that we as upstanding citizens, when we see someone starting to slide off the track, we speak to them and encourage them, point out the wrong that they're doing and encourage them and offer them whatever assistance that they may need. That doesn't mean that you have the full entire package for their assistance, but it means that you seek the assistance that they're unable to source for themselves. A lot of times, God brings people into your presence not because you actually have those resources, but because you know of the resources that they are not aware of that they need.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we also need to be looking at is how do we get back around to being our brother's keeper instead of just caught up in the rigmarole of every day and then being so frustrated at the end of it. You go inside, slam the door, turn on the air conditioner because you don't want anything to do with your neighbors next door while all hell breaks loose in your neighborhood, and you have the potential to intervene in it,
And you live in your gated community behind your burglar bars, windows, your security system, and your dog outside, and who knows what else, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I can assure you this: at some point or another, if evil wants to get to your gated community, not going to be in a gate, not going to be in a good to you.
Yeah, man.
Somehow or another, evil will make it to you. The thing about it is to apprehend it. And so, I just want to encourage us to be great citizens, great neighbors, be your brother's keeper.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because if we have that, we don't need a police force.
You know what? Maybe we'll see that society and people look at it and not realize that it's some fairy tale, huh?
Caller, I have a question, and I'm going to be asking everybody this. But if you had a magic wand, what would you do? What would you wish upon us that we could become our brother's keeper like we once were?
I would wish that we would all come to the knowledge of Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. Because once we have a relationship with Jesus Christ, who said, if someone slaps you on one cheek, he didn't say fight back, he said turn the other cheek. If a man asks you for your cloak, give him your robe also, because he's without. If one comes and knocks on your door, don't tell him to come back in the morning. Get up and give him all that he needs. There's a lot of misunderstanding about what it means to really be a Christian, and a misunderstanding of who Jesus Christ really truly was. But once you have a relationship with Jesus Christ, you can do no wrong to anybody else. If I had a magic wand, I would endow us all with redemption and salvation. But that's a choice for people to make. That's an individual decision for people to decide that they want to become like Christ. Now, if I, in my human capacity, could change anything, it would be the financial despair that a lot of people suffer right now, because after the pandemic, so much damage got done to a lot of people, and they're just struggling. There's so much despair, so much desperation right now, so much uncertainty, so much need, that I believe if I was a millionaire, I could go broke in a day trying to meet the needs of other people at this time. But I think the best thing for us all to do is just become our brother's keeper. Yeah. Because in so doing, if I have one bag of rice, and you have a half of a chicken, we can feed 2 families with that, Yeah. I'd have some chicken, you'd have some rice.
Let me
all up and make a roast con pollo.
Well, better yet. Philip, you want to?
No, I was trying to look through my phone. I saw this poll recently by a New York publication. I'm struggling to find it, but it was showing that religion is going. This is all America. Religion is decreasing. Being patriotic is decreasing, but money, as the years go on from the 90s, 2000s to where we are today, but wanting money is increasing, and it goes to your point that in a way there is this trend that with it'd be interesting to I guess dive into what does the decrease of religion in a society look like. What are those effects? Are we seeing those effects where crime is on the rise? People are becoming more of an individual rather than being a part of the community that they once were. It'd be interesting to try and find that comparison.
I think that I think when you find, I hope you find it before you come off the radio today.
Well, you can do a job, okay.
You've already made a correlation that a decrease in faith equals an increase in desperation, an increase in financial need, Yeah. But you also see the impact in that you see more moral degradation, right? So you see behaviors and stuff that is not healthy for society. One of the things that people just don't want to accept that is a negative impact on society is the unbridled desire, right? Now, we are all human beings, and our desires can vary from one individual to another, and the depth and degree of those desires, and the type of desire that can range within one individual or between individuals, right? And depraved desires are becoming more and more rampant. And a lot of people choose to say, well, it's my life and I'll do what I want to do. But if your depraved desire has a negative impact on the society, you're not free to do as you want to do because you are negatively impacting a healthy society. We all want to live in a healthy society. I don't care what anybody wants to tell you about how individual they think that they are. We all need to be a part of a body, of a community, right? And that community needs to be healthy in order for us to be at peace, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look, it was an American study that you said, you look at a decline in faith in America, and look at the state of America. You know, it sounds kind of backward because you would say, well, the United States of America, but no, look at the state of America, the state that it is in, its state of affairs. You know, it's suffering seriously with a lot of social issues because they have turned their backs on God. But listen, sorry, do you want to say something?
I just want to quickly share with you 2 points from, 2 comments from our listeners online. One says, you know, and call you by name, say you're on point, so they recognize your voice or think that they do. And then, prior to our comment earlier, says, read it as is written. So while we should always wish for peace, just remember that sometimes there is a Goliath situation out there that we need a David. Unfortunately, due to sin, people will not make the choices that produce or / generate peace. I'll leave it to you if you want to, you know.
And
Philip, yeah.
Yeah, caller, I found the chart, but I can't tell you who the original poster is, but I found it on the author Michael Schellenberger's Instagram page. So in
share it with Dwayne and also so that I can get it later on.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
But just to give you the rundown, in 1998, patriotism was at 70%, and in 2019, it dropped to 61%, and now in 2023, it's now 38%. Mind you, this is all America. But to your point about religion, in 1998, it was at 62%. 2019, it dropped to 48%. And now in 2023, it is 39%. Community involvement also declined, but money went up and having children went down. So when I see this chart, it just shows that people, I guess, in a way, in a sense, is making a living is more important than, I mean, this is just my interpretation looking at this data, but people wanting to make a living or strive to have a better way of life, you know, they are I don't know if sacrificing is the right word, but they're definitely putting aside their love of country, having a family, getting involved with their community, and their faith, just in pursuit of what one could say is a more materialistic life.
Right, and then I think the and I'm not against nobody living a good standard of life. If, in all honesty, if we were living according to what God purposed, the way in which God purposed for us to live, none of us would be poor. We wouldn't know what it is to not have food and stuff, because poverty is not a part of God's design, but it is one of the ramifications of sin. And when you have people who are materialistically inclined, right? So they're constantly chasing the money.
Right.
And this is my opinion, but my opinion is also based on statistics such as what you just presented. So when you have persons who turn to individualism, and it's all about me, and so I cannot contribute to a healthy, safe society, then the community starts to fall apart. Crime is on the uprise. Poverty is on the uprise. Crime and poverty play a cycle. Unemployment becomes affected. Employment then falls into the crime and poverty cycle, and so on and so forth. So are we then actually in the pursuit of money, giving up and forsaking our happiness, sacrificing our happiness? Because I'd rather have a few pennies in my pocket and walk safely down the street, call to my neighbor, not be hungry, than to be rich and have to wonder if I'm driving by I can get shot through my car window of my Mercedes-Benz, you know? Yeah. So I thank you very much for sharing that and for sharing it with Dean so I can get it, so I can read the whole thing.
No problem.
Thanks, man.
We definitely are living in interesting times, and one thing I think about when I see money like that, could it be in pursuit of a more materialistic life? That's, I guess, for the individual to find out. But also with the cost of living, you, in a way, are, I guess, one could make the statement that with the cost of everything going up, do we have to sacrifice these things that we enjoyed in the 80s, 90s, 2010s, 2020s, before COVID, just to stay afloat in these crazy times. And one thing we're going to get into later on is OPEC cutting their oil production in who knows by how much. Different countries are cutting it by, they're cutting their supply, but point being, they're cutting their supply, but the demand is still there. Therefore, the prices are going to go up.
Yeah. Ms. Coutinho, sorry?
Dwayne, if you're about to tell me that you got to go for a news break, allow me to say what I was going to say.
I was about to say to you that you said you had another point.
I'll make the point right after I make this comment on what Mr. Richter just said about having to forsake some things now versus what we had then. Forsake now what we had then. But a lot of the cause for that also is because of the way that legislation is now currently being written, right? And, there's a lot being said about climate change and stuff, right? But when we look at the way that we are dealing with our food source and food production and so on, it's incredibly difficult for us to make it because we are dependent on commercialism only. We don't have a lot of yard space. We're not growing our own crops, which keeps us healthier because we have to farm them as well. So we're going to the supermarkets to get everything, and so we have to work more because, and on this little piece of rock, it's either you pay the supermarkets what they are demanding. It's not necessarily because of their profit level. It's because of where else are you going to go. You want a box of Cheerios? You have a few outlets to purchase them from, and even the wayside stores have to purchase them from the same importers, mega importers, and we know who those are. And so there's no consumer price control. There's no protection for the consumer in this country, and that's because some families in this country has kept a control over the politicians, and so we refuse to bring in regulations, legislation that's going to protect consumers and put price control in place. And it's one of the things that if politicians don't deal with it, they're going to end up looking at a impoverished society. And I can tell them that the steel gates won't do them any good at that time.
Caller,
you get enough for people, right?
Yeah. If I could just run something past you about price control. To me, price control sounds great in theory, but I think the practice won't help at all, because I believe in free markets and I believe in capitalism, and price control, it just seems like unwarranted bureaucracy. Who's to say who is an outsized bureaucracy to tell me, an importer, how much I should sell my goods for? If people want to buy my goods for the price I sell it at, then they will buy the goods at the price I sell it at. But if they don't want to and they want to go with the cheaper option, then that's fine. If I'm not selling my goods for the price that it is, and I see people are going for a cheaper option, then it is up to me, the business, to then lower my prices or whatever to be more competitive. It's not for some new agency or whatever to step in and it's yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand, and you would be spot on, and I would agree with you 100%. If I was in an environment in which there was purchase power. If where the common wayside vendor wayside store was able to purchase and import certain products and put them on their shelves and be competitive to supermarkets, right?
Right.
And then the supermarket then finds itself in a situation where they're charging nearly $10 for a gallon of milk, but Pink Shop is selling it for $6.59 because they're allowed to bring it in too. And so Pink Shop is selling all of the milk, while Blue Shop is stuck with their milk on the shelf, and so they're going to have to drop the price down, and they're going to have to become competitive. And I appreciate that. I love the competition aspect and stuff like that, right? Except there are way too many products in this country that are controlled by import laws.
Yeah.
And some people have the exclusivity to bring in certain brands and certain products and stuff, so they have a monopolization over some of these things. And so regardless of whether I go to the supermarket or I go to the wayside store, I'm paying what I am compelled to pay by the importer, right? But that is a topic that I'd love to have a discussion on consumer protection. And I hope that maybe one day, very soon, we can have that discussion, Mr. Richter.
Yes.
But I know that there are only just but a few minutes left on the show.
And we have another call as well.
Yeah, and I have something beautiful I want to share with the people of the Cayman Islands. Since we're talking about how we should be coming together, we should be living in peace, and we should have a life of celebration and all the rest of it. So I just want to remind the Cayman Islands, and I want to invite the Cayman Islands and Mr. Richter, you too.
Thank you.
To come out. You're one of those people to come out to the March for Jesus on the 27th day of May. Meet us down at the 7 Mile Public Beach at 2 p.m. And let's march into town, 27th of May. Meet there at 2. We set off at 3 p.m. You can choose how you're going to participate. Whether you want to walk it, you want to ride it on your bicycle, you want to ride it on your motorcycle, you want to drive it in your car, you want to ride in one of the sponsored buses. My cousin Lauren is here with me also. But it's up to you, and he's all happy to hear about this because he loves God. So, but it's totally up to you how it is that you're going to get into town. But not to worry, because we're going to provide transportation for persons who don't have their own vehicles. And if you have any type of disability, or you think you can't make the whole walk, that's perfectly okay. If you want to start off walking and then you decide, no, I better get in one of these buses, that's okay too. And we're going to be providing transportation from the outer districts up to West Bay, 7 Mile Public Beach, and to join the procession. And for more information, just go to the website, christian.ky, and click on the March for Jesus tab.
Yeah, man.
So, 27th of May, meet at West Bay Public Beach, 2 p.m. They'll set off at 3 p.m. And then at the end of the march, we will have one praise and worship party like we've never seen in this country before.
Yeah.
Nice.
Justina, thanks very much, Mom.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, thanks. We do have a caller on hold, but we do have a break to take. With the greatest of respect. Join us after.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The MedLab team would like to wish the community a very happy Easter and remind you to be safe while camping.
Spring is in the air and Easter is just around the corner. So too is Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village. They're stocked with Easter gifts and treats and new spring apparel. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Get all of your Easter purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call them 946-3336. Parents, Savannah Pharmacy invites the neighborhood children to visit the store on Saturday, April 8th before 12 p.m. to pick up their own Easter goodie bags.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Row Variety, centrally located in Tropical Plaza on Smith Road, carrying a wide range of household items, bathroom accessories, towels, clocks, handbags, clothes, shoes, jewelry, and more, and more, and more. You can buy from the big box retailers or support local. The better deals come from shopping local. Row Variety Store, Tropical Plaza, Smith Road. Telephone 924-9553.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you all for sharing. If you provide opportunity in your genuine, sincere invitation, who knows what you will learn if you're just willing to listen. Philip Richter, you've been, invaluable. We do have a caller, and as we take this call, maybe we can revert to some more convo.
Yes, we can.
All right, welcome. If you're here, thank you for your patience and holding on. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Patience, yeah. I shall name myself now Job.
Well, they say persistence and patience and perseverance pays off for those who see profit not only in the eye but with the PH.
Yeah, patience with experience. And experience give it hope, and hope make it not ashamed.
Where there's late, there's hope.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm not going to say a lot because the Bible says when you pray, let your words be few. Don't be like the Pharisees and the publicans that are making the big long prayers out in the street where people can see them. Meaning that, we are in perilous times. When we look at, I'm going to mix up the ingredients a little bit, so maybe it's a little confusing, but I think you're clever enough to understand what I'm saying. There's so much going on that it's hard to say exactly which issue you want to pinpoint. However, our biggest problem, we have outside influence. That giving us the idea that the glory of the day is money. Sure, money is important, but how much money do you need to really live comfortable with? And it's in the Bible that it says that there are days that you can't buy or sell. Well, that's coming to Cayman right now because a lot of people that has a little piece of property, no, it's not for sale. Me, myself, has a little property, but it's not for sale. Not for all the money it is in the world. It's not for sale. Let's get another thing straight now. I don't want to say this, but I have to say this. You see, North America, it's not United States anymore. It's divided states.
Sad to say.
Look what's happening with Donald Trump. And I'm not specifically Republican or Democrat, but they should be concentrating any given time Russia, China, Iran, and those countries. But they're up in there hell-bent to crucify Donald Trump like Paul, Jesus when he was in the cross, I mean, what do they really want out of that country? I remember as a boy, United States was such a great country. Oh, my God. Everybody wants to go to the United States. Now, who really wants to go if you see while the amount of people that are fleeing from the United States? I mean, what's the confusion about? Because we took God out of the country. They don't want to hear nothing about God. You come with this Jesus thing again. Where you think you're going? We don't want to hear about it. We want to hear about money and glory. Not saying that there's not still a significant amount of people there that are genuinely God-fearing people. But it has a significant impact on top of the Cayman Islands, the foreign influence, not just from America, but other countries. Look at Sunday. Sunday was the day that everybody took a rest. And now they take Sunday to do anything besides something that is religious or meaningful to God. They do everything. So I think my time is kind of limited because your time is creeping up. But my friend, I tell you one thing. We got a lot of issues into this country. I don't know how it's going to be addressed. But all we can do is pray and ask God to give us the guidance in the light what to do. Thank you very much for listening to
Caller, if you could just stay on the line for a brief moment. I have a question that I'm asking everybody today. Everybody. If you speak about outside influences creeping into our society, to sound like a broken record, if you had a magic wand, what would you do to, I guess, keep those outside influences at bay for people to take more pride in their own community rather than looking at what someone else is doing and imitating that here?
Sir, I'll answer you briefly and respectfully. Things like magic wand doesn't really creep up into my thoughts at all. I am saying to you here this afternoon, the creator of everything, without him there was nothing that was created. I am saying we need to pay more attention to God Almighty, and he will give us the directions what to follow. So I'm not here to say what I think. All I know that God is giving me some good guidance, and thank God I am a humble person, not perfect, but with the grace of God, he's guiding me and many others that is in my flock seeing the light. So some people are too big to be told. You have to consider this. You don't have no kind of magic wand. Some people are too big to be told, even though they know that you're right, but they're too big to be told. So what else can I say?
Yeah, man. I appreciate you sharing, and I appreciate, I'm on your statue with such respect for our time, and thank you very much. I know I'll take mine for, the liberty and the license to extend, but thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. And have a great day.
Mr. Victor, thank you too. I don't think that there is enough time.
Clearly not. Time flies when you're on radio.
Yeah. And it's good when we have, as you shared, and joining me in saying, discourse and dialogue through diplomacy and discussion and decision to deliberately, consciously ensure that we're listening, perhaps more than we're talking.
There is a man, author, musician, whatever you want to call him, that he put me onto this, and he is a musician that he's a black man, and he speaks to Klan members, and through his dialogues with Klan members as a black man, they start to see like, hey, wait a minute, this ideology, it's not really accurate. It's not a good way to live, And because he has these conversations, and because he's willing to be open and have discussions without insulting or berating and whatnot, it creates a healthy thought, a healthy seed to be planted in the mind,
If you think to the sorry.
So and I say all this to say it is him, Daryl Davis, where I get the quote, when two enemies are talking, they're not fighting. And that comes from him.
Well, wisdom.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, if we look to the parent, for example, that nurtures, encourages, loves, supports, right? The child, we see the potential for that child to perhaps have a more positive outcome. Whether that's the physical, biological parent, whether that's the surrogate, whether by extension it's the school, or it's the home, or the like. The challenge I think that we have in this community is our willingness to be divided, or our unwillingness to stand in the gap and exert courage, our seemingly desire for someone to do something but not us because of the fear that we somehow may suffer. But if we were to look short term, 50 years from now, you're 0 years old, God's willing you'll be 50. You're 30, you may get to live to be 80.
Well, with technology these days, who knows?
Right. And the challenge is that as we live in hope, are we prepared to stand in the gap? Minds like you, voices like yours, a spirit like yours.
And a platform like yours.
Thanks.
You're too humble.
No, man, but we come together, man. We come together.
I mean, that's why, look how many microphones there are. Some serious discussions have happened in this room.
Yeah, man. Well, I thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks.
I've extended invitation, and hopefully your schedule allows.
Yeah.
As I asked at the outset, and I'm prayerful that whatever's said here, hopefully they don't hold it against me. They'll bring me to a space of understanding, but they don't hold it against you or any of our guests, right? Because if we can't talk in a society that's supposed to be free and democratic, in the place of our birth, where can we talk? All right, Mr. Victor. Quick second, if you want to say a final word, my friend.
Yeah. Everybody have a great day. Easter weekend. Be safe. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Take time with your friends and families. Get off the phone and, enjoy some good old quality time.
There you go, man. There you go. Well, I asked Mr. Carl to cue up a song. Because sometimes, there's a message in the music. Hey, Paul, you want to introduce the song for me? What is it? He's like, guy, I talk too much now. I won't. You saw what he did. It was a kind gesture. And he says, you got a mic, keep it. All right.
Yeah, we'll call it that.
As he enjoys his meal. All right. Jelly Roll. All right. Need a favor? It's a song I asked him to play. Come back tomorrow. The Deputy Governor will be one of our guests at the first part of our charitable and community giving. We'll have a discussion after that on the sexual harassment legislation. We'll take it into the rest of the day. Join Mr. Ort in the morning, please, as he hosts For the Record.
I only talk to God when I need a favor, and I